Wow, what a great shot to end on. I've only seen that clock. Hold on. I've only seen that shot from like street level, where we see the clock and we see the rotating figures, and this was from behind the scenes, so pretty cool. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, and that was 16mm home movie vacation footage, including a bunch of testimonials written by celebrities. I guess at some hotel that these folks stayed at. Maybe I'm not 100% sure, but interesting nonetheless. And then some steeplechase footage. Geometry. What is it?
One day, we don't know for sure when it was, and we don't know who it was, or we don't know where it was, but someone made a very important discovery. Seeds from a plant could make another plant just like it. Food could be grown on purpose. The new discovery was agriculture. Well, the idea caught on fast. Pretty soon, everybody and his brother was planting the seeds of their favorite food and making them grow. But along with the great discovery of agriculture, a few new problems also came up. So, the new invention of agriculture called for another new invention, the property line. And that meant discovering geometry. Geometry is a Greek word that originally meant to measure the earth. Well, if geometry means to measure the earth, we certainly have measured this earth in just about every possible way we can think of. But geometry is more than measuring the earth. There's another side to geometry that's a little harder to understand. A geometry that developed out of just plain wondering, out of imagination. It's the geometry of space, of infinity. A space where something is there, and yet it isn't. And yet it is. Geometry is like an idea. It's the geometry based on abstract thought. Let's see if we can understand the three basic elements of geometry: point, plane, and line. Think of a box. A simple imaginary box. A box in empty space. The box has corners, surfaces, and edges. The corners, surfaces, and edges will help us illustrate point, plane, and line. Here is a corner of the box. At the very sharpest end of this corner, there is a place in space that marks the very beginning of the corner of the box. This place isn't part of the box. It is a location. It has no size or shape. It is only a place in space. It is a point. Now, the corner of this box can be anywhere in this space. And since the point has no size or shape, then there can be an infinite number of points in this space. Infinite? That means as many points as you can possibly think of, and more than that. So let's consider this space and its infinite number of points as a set of points. Now, we said a point has no size or shape, but we do have to represent it somehow, so we use a symbol. The smaller the symbol, the better. The symbol for a point is a small dot. So we have point. But what about plane? Well, let's go back to point again. Here's a point. Here's a point. 2 more points. Another point. More points. An infinite number of points on the surface of the top of our box. And what do we have? We have a plane. This surface is like a plane. The surface of a piece of paper is like a plane. This surface, this plane, is flat and has only 2 dimensions, length and width. No thickness or depth at all. And because it's an idea, it can go on forever. Just length and width infinitely. Now remember, our space was a set of points. Well, a plane is another set of points, but a plane isn't all of space. So a plane is a subset of space. This idea of plane, the idea of a flat, 2-dimensional surface, is the basis for plane geometry. Where 2 planes meet, we get a line. The edge of this box is like a line. The edge is made up of points, an infinite number of them. And it is also part of the planes. Now, it's different from the plane because it only has 1 dimension, length. And its length, like the planes, is infinite. A line is another set of points, but it isn't all the points in a plane. A line is a subset of the plane it's in. Let's see where we are. Our space is a set of points, an infinite set of points. A plane is a subset of space. And a line on the plane is a subset of the plane and a subset of space. Once you understand the idea of point, plane, and line, you can go on to do more with geometry.
What a weird way to end a film about geometry. It's like we ran out of we ran out of narration money, so we'll just do a needle drop on this wacky Dixieland jazz-esque background music. Very strange. Let's see, what do we got here? What is a contract? Joy.
Tom Darcy and Ed Colling are both looking for jobs for the summer. Tom wants extra money to buy things he'll need if he can start college this fall. Ed wants to earn enough to trade in his old car when he goes back to college for his last year.
All right, there's the proposition, and it's a good one. What do you say? Can you start a week from Monday?
Mr. Bailey, $35 a week in car expenses isn't very much money. We've been offered $40 a week at another job, but it may not last all summer.
All right, maybe 5 or 6 weeks at 40. But with me, you can be sure of working the full 10 weeks of vacation, making $35 a week for easy work distributing these samples. Figure it out for yourself.
Whenever persons must rely on each other, there is occasion for agreements and contracts. People must agree. They must have assurance to make plans, as individuals and as groups. By the simple act of nodding their heads, accepting Mr. Bailey's proposal, Ed and Tom have made an oral contract, agreeing to distribute samples of a new breakfast food in exchange for $35 a week. For a contract is any agreement that is enforceable by law. To be enforceable, an agreement must contain the basic elements of a contract. The first of these elements is mutual assent, free intentional agreement by all parties to the same proposal. A second element is known as competent parties. The contracting parties must be legally responsible. Sane adults are generally considered to be legally competent. Mr. Bailey and Ed are in this class. Tom, who is under 21, is not an adult. He may not be considered legally competent, but Mr. Bailey employed him nevertheless. A third element is legal bargain. The agreement is in no way contrary to the law. An agreement to steal or defraud is not considered as binding, for its performance would be a violation of the law. Another element a contract must possess is consideration, the services or payments, or the promises of services or payments exchanged. Mr. Bailey promises to pay each boy $35 a week, plus car expenses for Ed. The boys promise to distribute samples of the breakfast food. And so, this oral agreement includes mutual assent of competent parties concerning a legal bargain for consideration, and it seems to be a contract. Ed feels that on the strength of the income from the new job, he can go ahead with his plans to trade in his old car. And he really needs a better car, a closed model for one thing, and one that won't break down every other day too, in order to do this new job with Tom. Yes, Ed wants that car. This type of transaction usually takes a written contract, which leaves less room for misunderstanding and forgetting. In general, agreements involving large sums or long periods of time must be in written form to be enforceable. Besides those elements mentioned, this agreement must be in required form. A written contract generally consists of the preliminaries, the body, and the conclusion. The preliminaries include the place, date, and names of the contracting parties. Ed wants to read carefully the second part, which includes the fine print that some people skim over as unimportant. The body of the contract is a statement of the undertakings of the parties and the consideration involved. This newer car is just what Ed wants. But Ed had better read that fine print carefully, for he will find in this type of contract the conditional sale agreement. title shall not pass to buyer until the entire purchase price is paid. The third part of the contract is the conclusion, a statement of the date and the fact of signing, and the signatures of the principal and witnesses. Sometimes, for the enforcement of an agreement, witnessing is necessary. In any case, it is desirable. There is a completed contract in written form, and it contains all the basic elements of a legally enforceable agreement. A camera is one of the things Tom wants to take to college with him. He has found one that he can buy on the installment plan for $10 down and $5 a week for 10 weeks. Here also the purchase involves a conditional sale contract, similar to the one Ed signed when he bought the car. But Tom is not yet 21, so he is not ordinarily considered a legally competent party. If only a minor signed as the buyer, the agreement would not satisfy the company. Tom, as a minor, could nullify the agreement if he so desired. Therefore, an adult must sign as the responsible party, so the purchase agreement will contain the necessary basic elements of a contract. So Ed and Tom worked hard, received their checks, and paid on their installment contracts until...
And that's the story, boys. I'm sorry, but the Red Flash Delivery Service will distribute the rest of these samples much cheaper than it's been costing us to do it ourselves. We intend to give them the contract to finish the job.
But, Mr. Bailey, you promised us 10 weeks' work. That's why we took the job with you instead of the other one. We still have 4 weeks to go. It's too late in the summer to get another job now.
I'm sorry, boys, but business is business. You know how these things are. I'd like to keep you on, but I can't afford to.
It's unfortunate for Tom and Ed losing their jobs in the middle of the summer. Now Ed can't afford to keep up the payments on the car. He wants more time and smaller payments. Unless he can arrange this, it will be costly for Ed. He knows that he made certain commitments or promises when he signed that contract. Upon default of a payment, the entire price at that time remaining due shall become due and payable. If Ed defaults on his payments, he fails to make good his promise. And remember, the contract also states, in the event of default, the seller, without notice, may take possession of the property and retain all payments made as damages for use and depreciation, costs of retaking the car, storage, and resale. Ed may lose his old car, his new car, and all payments made when the installment comes due next week. And Tom's father will have to make the payments on that camera. Both boys feel that their carefully made plans have exploded, and all because they have been treated unfairly by Mr. Bailey. Yet, they did have contract. 6 weeks ago, Mr. Bailey made an oral contract with them, which supposedly guaranteed them 10 weeks' work. If Mr. Bailey doesn't carry out his part, Ed and Tom may default on their written contracts. Perhaps they ought to get advice. Ed thinks he'll call Mr. Hayes, the family lawyer.
That's right, Mr. Hayes. We'll be there. Yes, sir. The ABC Advertising Company at 3 o'clock sharp. Thanks, Mr. Hayes. He says to meet him at Mr. Bailey's office.
Mr. Hayes has the facts of the case by now, and he believes that Mr. Bailey is trying to put something over on Ed and Tom, because they're just young boys. But Ed is 21 and considered an adult, and although Tom is a minor and may be able to avoid the agreement, any adult making a contract with a minor is still held responsible if the minor should desire it. Doesn't Mr. Bailey have a legal responsibility as well as a moral one to carry out his part of the contract? Mr. Bailey is calling his own lawyer, who can advise Mr. Bailey only if he knows whether the agreement contained the basic elements of a contract. Mutual assent, which means that the contracting parties freely agree. Competent parties, meaning sane adults generally. Legal bargain, there is no violation of the law. Consideration, the exchange of payments or promises. In some cases, there is a required form for contracts, but not this one. Any lawyer would advise Mr. Bailey to carry out that agreement. That, of course, means that Ed and Tom can carry out their contracts for the camera and the car. Always understand the contract, whether it be oral or written, and you will be able to make plans and carry them out. Exactly what a contract should help you do.
Sorry, there was a little flutter in that soundtrack, but I like the content. I like those boys got screwed. Totally screwed. So, thanks to you folks that showed up last night at the Shake Hands with Danger screening at the Alamo Drafthouse in Raleigh. It started off with a bunch of kids' films, and then it quickly descended into mayhem, danger, and copious amounts of male nudity. Copious amounts. It's something that we would not show on the YouTube channel. And there was a lot of squirming and yelling and screaming. It was really quite something. So thanks again. Thank you, Kevin, for donating to the cause. It was, there was a lot of fallout. My wife, Katrina, had no idea what she was in store for. And in fact, she invited all of her friends to go see this film. So knowing that was the case, I kind of kept with the other times that she's invited all her friends to see something when she saw Female Trouble, and she had never seen it before. And also when Crispin Glover came through, she also invited all her friends. So, anyways, yes, there was... I don't even know if this would be good for an After Dark show. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe if you're good. But... so, this next film is loosely related to male genitalia. Although I kind of did a quick scan of it. I don't think there is any in this. But this is one of the things that I got initially interested in when I started collecting films, which is films about venereal disease, or sexually transmitted diseases, or sexually transmitted infections. I don't know what they're calling it nowadays, but this one is pretty great. I have a film copy of this, but I've yet to really shown it. But I found somebody had scanned a copy, so this is called Birthright. And one of the things to think about with films about sexually transmitted diseases is they tried a couple of different ways to get people interested and involved. And this is the challenge of public health that certainly came up during COVID. One is appeal to them as a citizen and the impact of you being sick, how that influences the war effort. That's a perfect example. So the war effort, a lot of people were having sex, especially people that were working in the factories. So there was a lot of sick days, and basically that counted against our war effort. So, we were trying to talk about that. And there were films that kind of reflect that same type of thing. There's one called With These Weapons, In Defense of a Nation. All of these are really kind of fascinating. Or Shadow on the Land. All of them talk about how the country is being compromised. Then it became about the family and about family dynamics. Then in the 70s and 80s, it was about the individual. Because, it's like, well, you don't want to get this, you don't want to spread this, you don't want to, and at that time, venereal diseases were easily curable. It was more about just getting people to go and get it done. And then, of course, AIDS came back and slammed it back in a different direction. But anyways, so this is called Birthright. And we get to see what happens when somebody compromises their integrity. I can't remember what terms they use, but here we go. Enjoy. Or more like, enjoy?
Many people gave their time to help tell this story. People from Harmony Community in Gainesville. People like Boyce Brown, young chicken farmer who plays John, and Marjorie Morris, who takes the part of his wife, Liza. Mr. and Mrs. Jarrett play Liza's father and mother, and Paula Haygood plays Nell.
How many dead this time? 5, 6, 2 more about dogs. You checked the temperature this afternoon? Yes, I checked it. Did you check the water? Yes, I checked that too. Well, it's dry now. Valve stuck. I thought you fixed it.
Hey, honey.
Hey,
What you got there?
a boat.
Where'd you get it?
I rode it.
Her grandfather brought it from town.
They're going to spoil that child rotten if they keep that up.
No use you're talking that way, John, and you know it. If we've got to live together, they're bound to spoil her a little bit.
Yes, we'll keep on living here. Letting your father decide how we're going to raise our children. Your mother decide how you're going to dress. And pretty soon we'll...
Hush up, John, please. You wanted to go into the chicken business with Daddy. It was your idea to get all that money tied up, his life savings.
You act like I haven't got anything in it at all. Do all the work, building all the houses, all the fetching and carrying.
Oh, Lord, I'm a biscuit. I've got some, Mama.
Well, they're roaring, plumb roaring.
They're not burnt too bad to eat.
If more folks around here would stay out of the kitchen and tend to their own work, we'd be heap better off.
Well, I've been working out in that wind for the last 5 hours, and if a man can't stop for 5 minutes to get warm, then I don't know what.
Well, Jeremiah said you lost 8 more chickens this afternoon, and if you keep that up, John Lloyd, you're going to have us all in the poorhouse.
I lost them. Guess he didn't have anything to do with it. Guess he didn't let that salesman talk him into buying untested chicks because they were 2
Hush
cents
up,
cheaper.
John. Mama, John has as much right to be in here as anybody.
Well, somebody's got to think about saving the 2 senses, and Lord knows it wouldn't be you.
You call it saving. I call it wasting.
John Lloyd, I made a living on this farm for 30 years before you ever came along with your big ideas about chicken raising. I can do it again.
All right, all right. If that's the way you want it, I'll get out.
John, Papa didn't mean it that way.
Count on you to take sides against me, Liza.
John, wait. Can I help you?
Yeah, let me have a beer.
What kind?
Oh, any kind.
Hey, John. Come on over. Hi, John. How's the chicken farmer?
Boy, you can have it. I wish I were back on the road with you guys hauling those darn things. You know, there are more ways a fella can lose his shirt raising chickens than you can imagine.
Is this where you want it?
Lordy, is everybody mad today?
I'm sorry, I've had a bad day.
Well, that's okay. Say, that's not empty.
Look, it's hot mess.
Watch out, Drake. I'll help you.
The girl will get that up.
She might cut her hands.
Thanks for helping me.
That's okay.
Crank up, Ed. Let's go.
Come on, John, you better get going, too.
I'm gonna stick around a while.
You can't spend the night here, chicken farmer.
Okay, I'm going.
How are you going to get home?
I got my truck over yonder.
You can't drive home like this.
I can't, huh?
No, you can't. Come on, you better come over to my place and get some coffee and sober up. Good night.
Good night. You still up?
Yeah? I wanted to get this dress finished. I can't get a thing done when Mama's around. She knows how to do some things better than I do, I guess, but she hasn't the least idea about style.
It's cold.
Don't you think it's going to look nice when I get it finished? Look, John. Honey, honey, don't be like that.
Look at there, Mama. First week barefooted, and they're tough as whip leather already.
Sure are.
Hi, sis.
Go to Mama, Pat.
She's going to be a tough one to handle when the new baby comes.
I guess so. But I still don't see why Liza waited so long to tell me about that.
Used to a woman didn't tell her old man till she couldn't hide it anymore. One time I kept my condition from Jeremiah almost 4 months. Want a boy, don't you? Never saw a man that didn't.
I guess I do, only natural. But shouldn't Liza be seeing a doctor?
What do I need a doctor for? I've got at least 6.5 months to go yet, and no doctor in the world can do anything about that.
I know that much, honey, but hadn't you better be thinking about it?
Mama, I even showed him my maternity dress, and he didn't even guess.
Well, once they get you married, a man don't take notice to anything, but John's right. You should see Dr. Tidwell and let him make sure that everything's all right.
Oh, I'll go when my time comes, all right. You two stop fussing at me.
You see, Nell, we can cure you. But most people don't have to take examinations like you food handlers do. And that means that anybody that you might have been with in the past few months may have syphilis and not know it.
Yes, ma'am.
And if they're married, they will probably make their wives sick with syphilis.
The way that no-good husband of mine did before he ran off and left me.
That's right, Nell. But it can be even worse than that. Suppose that this John that you told me about is married, and his wife should get pregnant. Unless we find her soon and she takes treatment, it's very likely that her baby will be born dead or diseased.
I'll do anything you say to help, honest. But all I know is the fellows with him were teasing him about chickens, and they called him John.
Isn't there any way that you can get a message to him?
He hasn't been in since that one night, but I've got to do something. I wouldn't want anyone to get sick or die on account of me.
Tall, dark-haired chicken farmer named John. I'm afraid there are a lot of people in this county who would fit that description.
And we don't even know he is from this county, Doctor. The girl wants to help all she can, I'm sure of that. But we have so little to go on, and if he's married...
And if his wife's pregnant, that'll make it all the ways.
Cross your fingers, honey. I haven't lost but 8 chicks out of this batch, and they're in the 5th week already.
You're going to make a chicken grow yet with a few years of practice.
Hey, take it easy, honey.
Lordy mercy. John, the way you act, you'd think Liza's baby was due tomorrow night. Woman's got to have some exercise.
Gonna be a boy, ain't it, Liza?
That Jeremiah Crawford, you'll wait 5 months to find out.
Anything else?
I guess that'll be all, Jay.
Say, mister, pardon me. Weren't you in here one night a couple of months ago?
Yep, what about it?
You know the fellows that were with you, the one named John. Do you know where I could find him?
Look, little girl, if John wants to find you, he knows where to come. He's a married man, you know.
Come on, Nell. Let's wait on the customer.
I saw this other fellow. I'm sure he knows who he is and where he lives.
That may be, Nell. But you see, this information that you gave us about John, we have to keep in the strictest confidence. That's the law. So you see, we just can't go around asking everybody, even though you do know he's married.
But suppose his wife is going to have a baby.
That's the saddest thing of all. If she is, let's hope to goodness she gets to a doctor right away.
Then everything will be all right.
If she gets treated in time. You see, Nell, in the first 4 months of pregnancy, the disease does not get from the mother to the child. In the 5th month and after, it's very likely...
Then the baby will die?
No, there's still a chance to save it. A great many women don't go to doctors until they've been pregnant for 7 or even 8 months. And even then, they don't take blood tests. And no one knows until a baby comes that anything is wrong.
I'll keep looking, Mrs. McEvery.
Good girl. Bye.
Bye.
How many dead this morning? You know we haven't lost 7 or 8 out of this patch yet. Reckon you can raise boys as good as you can chickens?
Liza says it feels like twins, both of them girls. Hey, honey, the load of feed I'm picking up this morning is going to finish out this batch. Ought to make $400 easy.
I want to see Daddy's face when the check comes in.
Liza, why don't you come into town with me and see the doctor? You're nearly 5 months gone.
Listen, John, I feel perfectly all right. I'll know when it's time to go to the doctor. It isn't as though I haven't been through this before.
Okay, bye-bye.
The really important thing about this motor phase health testing program that you civic leaders are helping to put on here in the county is just this. Now, for the first time, we'll be able to help a lot of our people who are walking around with one or more of these diseases and don't know it. Some of them are right in your own organizations. With one X-ray, we can check for signs of tuberculosis and certain heart abnormalities. With one sample of blood, we can check for signs of anemia, diabetes, and syphilis. And from the dental inspection, we can warn many of our people of oral cavities and other oral defects.
Everything is strictly confidential. Your tests are marked by a number. And if they find anything that shows that you need special treatment, you can go straight to your family doctor.
And speaking for the County Medical Society, I wish to urge each and every member of this organization to get behind this worthwhile project.
If everybody keeps working like this, we'll test the county 100%.
That's the truth.
That's okay. Hot enough for you?
I'll say boiling.
Sounds like you're doing all right, John. Folks usually have trouble with the first batch or two. Broilers are harder to raise than most folks think. Are you going home now?
Yeah, you want to ride?
I'd appreciate it. My wife's helping with this big health program, and I can't leave town before I go by and get my checkup.
Okay, I'll wait for you.
Thank you.
Pardon me, is Miss McElver in?
No, she isn't. She's over across the square at the testing station. Could somebody else help you?
No, thank you. I'll go over there.
Won't you come on in with me?
No, I got a couple of things I want to do. I'll just wait.
All right.
John Lloyd, you come back here. What do you mean running off that away?
You come on in here and get yourself tested. Where's Liza and all the family? You should bring them all in and get them tested.
Take this card over to the desk and she'll tell you what to do.
I have another customer for us.
Your name, please?
John Lloyd,
Address?
Route 4, Madisonville District.
Married, Mr. Lloyd?
Yes.
Have you any children?
Yes, one, going on 2.
Good. Hope you'll have the whole family tested.
I reckon I will, ma'am. But doctor, what makes you so sure?
Well, we can't be absolutely sure until the results of this second blood test come back tomorrow. But your blood test did show a high titer.
Well, I haven't had any of these symptoms except an ordinary sore throat.
Well, that's just trouble, Mr. Lloyd. We're finding more and more cases like yours. In the early infectious stages of a disease, the symptoms are often so slight that they go unnoticed. By the way, I think when you come in tomorrow for the result on this second blood test, you'd better bring Ms. Lloyd in with you for a test.
But her, what's this got to do with her?
Sit down, Mr. Lloyd. We treat a lot of people in our VD clinics, Mr. Lloyd. In fact, we have information that you've been exposed to an infectious case of syphilis. Now, only the 2 of us here in the clinic who have to do with treatment know this. In fact, this is strictly confidential information. I can't even tell you who gave us the information, but whoever did it did you a real service. In all probability, you went through the infectious stages months ago, and it's entirely possible that at that time, your wife was exposed.
But doctor, she's pregnant. Nearly 5 months, I think.
Then good Lord, man, you can't let her go another week without treatment. Why, that baby's in danger of its life.
Why don't you go to the doctor, Liza?
But I told you, John, I'll go see the doctor when it's time. What's made you so worried all of a sudden?
It isn't all of a sudden. I've been after you and after you and after you. Mama here can bear me out on that. You act like I haven't got any right to take an interest in the child.
A lot of fuss over nothing. In my day, the women called for the granny
You
woman.
keep out of this. It's none of your business.
Everybody hush. Hush, John. Liza's a woman and she knows her time. No occasion for anyone else to be meddling in it.
Liza, I lied to you this evening. There is a reason why you've got to see a doctor.
What do you mean?
They say I've got syphilis, and if I've got it, well, you've probably got it too. If we don't do something quick, the baby might be born blind or crippled or even dead.
Are you sure, Doctor?
There's no doubt about it. Both your test and Mrs. Lloyd's are definitely positive. And the sooner you start taking your treatment, Miss Lloyd, the sooner that baby of yours will be out of danger.
But, Doctor...
Both of you can take the treatment in a few days' time, and it's an almost certain cure. You can receive your treatment either from your family physician, or you may take it here at the health department.
And my baby?
When we treat a pregnant woman for syphilis, her baby receives the same medicine through the blood.
Are you sure it'll be all right, Doctor?
No cure can be guaranteed 100%. It would have been much better had Mrs. Lloyd gone to a doctor earlier, because any good doctor would have taken blood tests as a part of his regular care. Your wife's in her 5th month now, but our chances of curing her and of saving the baby are still good.
When do we start, Doctor?
The John Lloyds. Oh, yeah. I delivered her first baby.
They want to start right away, so I'll send over the results of the test, and, well, it's been a pretty bad shock to the wife, so,
I understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Miss Lloyd, that's the last treatment. Of course, I'd like to see you about every 4 weeks for a checkup before the baby comes. I don't think we've got much to worry about.
And the baby will come normal and...
Look, Miss Lloyd, we doctors do a great deal sometimes, but we're not magicians. Thousands of babies die every year from this and lots of other diseases simply because women won't see their doctors during the first month or 2 of pregnancy. When they put off coming until much later, as you did, we can still do a great deal, but it makes things a lot harder. Why did you wait so long?
I thought I was all right. I felt all right.
Exactly. You thought you were all right, and yet you endangered the life of your own child.
Maybe it ought to die.
Now, don't be foolish, Liza. There's no reason to get yourself all upset. Everything's going to work out all right.
Before we get to where we can't talk, I want to tell you how much I hate myself for what happened.
No
And
use
if
to
the
that,
baby's
John.
born-
Dr. Tidwell says it's been my fault, too, for not coming in to see him.
I know, but Liza, it's all my fault. I caused all of it.
Oh, John, for heaven's sake, let's go home.
That's right, Dr. Tidwell. Prenatal clinic's every other Thursday at 2.
I've asked Mrs. Lloyd to come along to it. She's pretty upset about things, and I'm afraid if she loses interest in her baby, it might not be so good.
I understand. Of course. You send her around and we'll take care of her. Goodbye. Kitty, this is Miss Lloyd. This is Kitty Kendricks. How do you do? So glad to meet you. They're the young couple that live in the house just beyond you.
Let me show you. Gosh, but you're quick. How many babies have you had?
Just one, but that's enough to teach you how to change a diaper. Trouble with learning on a doll, Kitty, is the doll can't wiggle.
That's the truth.
Hi, folks.
Brad, come meet John and Liza. This is Bradley.
Hello there, how are you?
Glad to meet you folks. How you, Brad?
Liza goes to the clinic, too. They saved me that awful bus ride.
Hope you'll pardon my looks, but this heat is about to get me down. That's all right. You'll get used to it in a year or so. Guess I'd better. Heat's so bad out at the plant, we're putting in a new air conditioning machine.
Brad, these people have to go home. Liza has a whole family to cook for.
Oh, sure. Sorry, folks. Come see us sometime.
Yes, please do, Liza.
We'll do that, and you people come to see us. We'd love to have you.
It's too hot to eat, much less cook.
August is always the hottest month.
I've got to go put supper on the table now, Kitty. But call me back later. And don't worry, you've got months to go yet.
Is them women still talking?
Oh, that Kitty's a sight. Every time she gets a kick, she thinks her time's come.
Kitty says she's buying both pink and blue just to make sure.
Where's John? I'm hungry.
Still out in the chicken house, I guess.
Looks like he's practically gonna live with those chickens, the way he sticks out there all the time.
He makes them pay, doesn't he? If more people around here would work as hard to make things run.
All right, I'll go get him.
No, leave him, Papa. He'll eat with me later when it's cool.
John, what's the matter? Staying out here night after night? I know you want to make a go of these chickens, but you don't have to cut yourself off from everybody.
After what I've done to you, Liza, I haven't any right here.
But, John, I don't feel that way. It was both our fault, and besides, we just can't keep on like this.
And if the baby isn't born right, I'd never forgive myself.
But the doctor says it has a good chance. Don't let this thing get you all twisted up. Everybody makes mistakes.
After what I've done, I haven't any right to a son. I haven't any right to a son at all.
Cry it out, whatever's bothering you. Liza, baby.
It works itself. Never have to touch it.
They're so cute.
Spent more than $450 on the last 4,000 broilers. We've got another patch coming off next week.
Kitty came over to see Liza off to the hospital, but looks like the old man's gonna keep her in the chicken house all day. Jeremiah! We'd better go. Jeremiah!
Having babies in the hospital is just plain foolishness. That bed upstairs was good enough for you to have your aid in.
Yes, and 3 of them died before I could nurse them a week because they didn't have decent treatment.
Good luck, Liza.
Hope it's a boy.
Hope it comes safe and easy.
Doctor, are you sure you've done everything possible?
I took another blood test just yesterday, John, and it looked all right. I don't think we've got anything special to worry about. But of course, I'll have to check the baby every month for 3 months after it's born.
I know Liza's up there suffering to birth a child that won't be right, just because of what I did. It's happened to other people. I've seen the little kids all twisted up.
John, listen to me. Liza's baby's in far less danger right now than dozens are that are going to be born in this hospital between now and Christmas, simply because their mothers haven't had blood tests. If there was just some way we could get women to understand how important these tests are.
Dr. Tidwell, you wanted in delivery.
Okay. Take it easy, John.
Okay, thanks, Doctor.
I haven't any right to it, son. That baby's in danger of its life.
Blind, twisted, or dead.
Haven't any right. That baby's in danger of its life.
Blind, twisted, or dead.
Haven't any right. That baby's in danger of its life.
Date of birth, September 18th. Weight, 7 pounds, 8 ounces. Sex, male. Name of parents, John and Liza Lloyd.
Isn't he sweet, John? He looks just like you.
Does he?
Pick him up and hold him.
No, I think I'd better not.
Why not?
I'd better not just yet.
Oh, John.
Well, I'd better be getting back. It's getting late. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Yes, sir, he's one of the finest babies I've ever had the privilege of delivering. Aren't you, boy?
He's growing so fast he'll be answering you back in another month or so.
I want to make a final blood check at the end of 3 months. There's absolutely nothing to worry about, but it's always best to make sure.
All right.
Got yourself a prize winner in that boy, John.
Thanks, Doctor.
Look, Brad, isn't he cute? He's the sweetest baby.
You about ready for your examination, Mrs. Kendrick?
Yes, Doctor. Bradley, dear, will you hold my bag? Wait for me, Liza, and let's have a milkshake before we go home. Okay.
Let's go down to the Mary Maid Dairy. They make milkshakes that high.
Okay.
That woman's always hungry.
They all are about this time.
I'm going to your room, Granny.
All right, Patsy.
But don't be climbing on things.
I'm not.
Liza, what's John got against that boy of his?
Nothing that I know of. Why?
It's not natural the way he's acting. Don't ever play with this baby like he used to be doing Patsy all the time. Don't think of as much as ever seen him pick up the child. He don't act natural with you either.
John's got lots on his mind, Mama. He's always asking about the baby. And besides, you can't expect a man to...
Shh! Here he comes.
Hey.
Hi.
Warm enough in here, Liza?
Heavens, yes. You've got it hot as an oven in here now.
I gotta get back and get that house cleaned out before dark.
Well, we'll be eating in another hour.
Okay.
What's the matter? Kitty's time's come. There's not a soul in the house to get her to the hospital.
pains now, Kitty. Well, stay just as quiet as you can. We'll get you there, honey.
You'll be all right. We'll have you there.
But Dr. Tidwell said it'd be 3 weeks.
Easy now, Kitty, easy. We'll have you there in no time.
Gee, thanks, John. Tell Kitty I'll be there just as quick as I can drive.
Well, for goodness sakes, don't kill yourself on the road. I'll stay here. Okay. That's his first one.
Honey, what you mean?
You better watch out, Brad. They're going to charge you extra for wearing out their floor.
Gosh, John, something must have gone wrong. Dr. Tidwell said it wouldn't be for 3 weeks yet.
But look, Brad, I talked to Dr. Tidwell when I brought Kitty in. You've got a lot less to worry about than Liza and I had when our boy came. You see, Liza didn't go to the doctor right off as soon as she found out she was pregnant like Kitty did. And when she seemed to need me most, I was so tied up with all sorts of things that I just couldn't seem to help her.
That's my trouble, John. I'm off at the plant all day. Nobody home. I don't know how Kitty's going to manage by herself.
Good Lord, Brad. When Kitty gets home with that baby, there'll be me, Eliza, Mama Crawford, or somebody over there all the time. We'll be over there so much so you'll have to start charging us board.
Mr. Kendricks,
Here, now.
you can come up now.
I'll see you later, Brad.
Liza? Liza! It's a girl, 6 pounds.
Come already?
Yeah, Kitty came to it fine. And you should have seen Bradley. That boy was so excited I thought he'd pop. He was really something.
I bet he was.
Lordy, he's heavy.
He ought to be. He's almost 3 months old. And Dr. Tidwell says he's the healthiest baby in the county.
He's getting big as a young calf. Do you really think he looks like me, Liza?
He's a spitting image of you, John.
Phew! It was touch and go there. Didn't know what was going to happen. We had a sense, and yeah, I was afraid that the friend's baby was going to have problems. But no, everything worked out. Everything worked out. So this would have been shown, try to show it to the general public, and especially in rural areas. I don't know if that actually happened, but yeah, there was a big push to just, it's like we have a way to address these diseases. You just have to come in and get treated. And so that was the big thing. Whew. Anyways, thanks for joining us today. Very much appreciate your eyeballs and your comments, and thank you for contributing, Kevin. Ways that you can support us besides hitting the thumbs up button, which if you've done it before, don't be afraid to do it again. It costs you nothing. You can also subscribe and tell other people about what we're doing. You can also use the super thanks button. That's a way to support us. I have added a link on Venmo because some people were asking, they didn't want to go through the whole rigmarole of signing up with Patreon, which is a way to support us, or Coffee, ko-fi.com/avgeeks. Those are other ways to support us, and financially, that pays for storage units that we have. And also, we're going to start doing a big demo work on the space, I think over the weekend. Buying a sledgehammer. And I have a crowbar, but just taking out all that nasty drywall in the back. That's the plan. So anyhow, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll be back again tomorrow on Thursday. Everybody take care.